Hi, welcome to Lasers, Dragons, Keyboards. This is Aaron.
This is Liberty.
And this is Josh.
Today on the show, we are doing one of our first, after 9 years, solo shows. And we just wanted to have a chance to talk to you guys and kind of have you get to know us a little bit better. Um, so, let's see, it's February 8th, I
Something
believe,
like that, yeah.
2025. We've been doing the show now for 9 years.
On and
Aaron,
off.
yeah, on and off. That's true. There has been some off times.
Stupid
Aaron, why don't
2020.
Yeah.
you? Yeah, tell me about it. We were just BSing about that before we started the show. Um, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about what you've got out there and then what you're working on currently?
Oh boy. I've got out there a bunch of different stuff.
A
Uh,
bunch of different stuff is
yeah,
very descriptive.
it is. If for well, I'm reaching behind me to show people on either the stream or YouTube or whatever.
Mhm.
My first book, A New Threat, is a space opera, kind of in the vein of Star Trek
Mhm.
ish. It's got spaceships and adventure and talking cats.
Oh wow.
So, well, they're more like tiger-sized aliens that resemble cats, but you know. So that's my first book
Yeah.
that's out there, and that's been out there. That was, I think Facebook was just telling me yesterday that that's been out for like 10 years now or something. So it doesn't really seem that long.
Wow, that does.
Well then.
Did you have that at the first Realm Makers where we met?
I did. I had that out,
Yep.
and it came out in 2015,
Okay. So
and it
we've been
finaled for the
publishing about
sci-fi
the same
category
line.
there, and didn't win though, sadly. So
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, I think I think we both published at the same time,
I think so.
roughly.
Yeah.
So you actually did your homework. You have things to show. I don't have access to my books.
Well,
I
they're
think I've
just
got a stack of
on
them over
display in the
there.
background. Well, except for Murder on the Orient Express. That's sadly not mine.
I mean, if it
No.
was, you'd be
But I had a nice
banking
little.
money.
I just wanted to make
So.
a nice little display for that because it's got trains and mysteries and stuff.
Mhm.
Well, yeah,
Well,
exactly.
and it is a classic for a reason. So.
It's really good. Yeah, yeah. Surprisingly, I read that for the first time last year in 2024. So
Wow,
uh,
it's been,
I
you
know.
hadn't read that before?
I have no idea how I missed that. Yeah.
Wow, I remember reading that as a teenager and then watching the movie from the 70s with Ingrid Bergman and Lauren Bacall.
So yeah, that's
Yeah.
one of the
And
things I'm doing now is I'm reading through all the other Perot mysteries and
mhm. Yeah,
watching the TV show on BritBox and
yeah, Poirot is
Excellent.
definitely my favorite of her characters. So,
Yeah.
one of the fun things that I didn't notice. I'm reading that and I'm reading this going. I think it's pronounced Perot, like Ross Perot, maybe. And then I'm watching the TV show, and every character on the TV show pronounces his last name differently,
a
Yep.
little bit, yeah,
which
a little bit.
which I find
I
hilarious.
I I
I
kind
guess
of
I'm
go
not
with
wrong.
yeah, I kind of go with how he himself pronounces it. Because I figured that's probably the closest. And I think David Suchet, who plays him, probably would be the best.
Played.
Yeah, played
Yeah.
him is probably the best one to
He did a
emulate
really
on that.
he did a really good job with that. Yeah.
He
He really
really
did.
did. It was
I think
definitely
I'm
if I
only
needed.
like 5 episodes into season 1 at this point, but still.
Mhm. Yeah, I know that when Mystery was airing on PBS, if I caught that there was a Poirot mystery on, I usually would stop and watch it. It was definitely not one of those things where I would drop it for Miss Marple or really anybody else, unless it was like something niche like Murder at Pemberley or something, which was.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
have no idea how I mistake Agatha Christie all these years. So it's like I'm reading. I was like,
She's so good.
but that came up, and I'm reading it last year. It's like, wow, this is really good.
Hmm.
Yep.
So we can throw
Yeah.
it. Now, as far
Ten.
as Miss Marple goes, I didn't like the first Miss Marple book as well as the Perot books that I've read. Just because it's like I'm reading this book, oh, this is a good mystery, but Miss Marple's like basically a side character in at least the first book. I haven't read any of the other ones yet.
Yep.
Yeah.
I got a whole stack of them on loan from my aunt over here that I haven't got to yet. But
Yeah. Yeah, I think we could probably do a deep dive on Agatha Christie. I haven't admittedly read most of the books, but I did read a lot of them as I was, a teenager and kind of getting more into adult mysteries and stuff, because I was definitely a Nancy Drew person.
I was reading more
I
Hardy
read,
Boys and
I
especially Tom Swift Jr. That was my thing,
Yeah.
I read a lot of Sherlock Holmes and some Agatha Christie, along, of course, with Encyclopedia Brown.
Oh,
and
of course,
Hardy
yep.
Boys and Nancy Drew.
Oh, Encyclopedia Brown was good to do too. I've got to go through and collect all those. I finally managed to collect the entire Hardy Boys. Well, the original Hardy Boys series, like the first 58 books.
Oh wow,
Nice.
I am jealous.
I don't count anything after the 58.
I've been.
No, I read the first one, and okay, massive spoiler alert: they kill off Joe's girlfriend. Like, nope, done with the new ones.
Okay, those are the case files,
and
They're
they
not-
suck.
I
No,
actually
They
enjoyed.
don't.
I actually enjoyed those a little bit more than I did the originals, but
I did not.
everybody's
like
different.
them.
But they continued on the original series, which is
Well-
aimed at a younger age group than the Files and Case Files. So, because Files and Case Files were more YA.
I'll have to look on it if I'll have to look into that if they've done that.
Yeah, they.
Because I was a
continued
teenager, read
on-
the first Case Files one, and I have always said, if you want to drop me, I can't talk today. If you want me to drop you as an author and never read anything you've ever read again, kill a main character. Or main character's girlfriend in that case, but...
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think I read those first before I read regular Hardy Boys, and so I was very confused.
Oh, I bet you were.
So I'm like, who the heck is Iola? And Iola is actually a city in Kansas, so I'm kind of like,
know
what?
that.
Yeah, the thing is that I used to drive through it all the time because it was
Insert
on the way to my
inappropriate
grandma's
joke
house.
here.
Yeah, well,
Hey, you went there, kind of.
I'm kind of. Anyway, I think we're already off topic, which
Oh,
is
we're way
not a
off
record
topic
for us.
already.
It's definitely not a record for us.
Well, the whole point of the show is to get to know us, and
Yeah.
we're getting we're on that topic, kind of.
Yeah. So, what are you working on right now, Aaron?
I'm working on a couple of things. The most recent thing I put out is the writers group I'm part of. We put out a group about. It's in the back there. I don't know if you see it. It's a short story collection about healers, and I have a story in that.
Oh.
Okay.
That's actually kind of a fantasy.
That's not the one you did with Heidi Lindbergh.
No, I have that coming up too. That's the DOSA files to number 2 and or 3. I'm in number 2, and that's coming out here later this year, this summer, I think.
Okay.
She's got a Kickstarter going for that. I should probably put a link in the description down there.
Yeah, we
About
probably
that.
Yeah.
should. And then what are you working on for your solo projects?
Well, we'll get there in a minute. The other thing is our writing group that produced that book. Our next project is going to be an anthology about cozy shops.
Oh, cool.
So I'm working on 2 stories for that I hope to get done in time for the deadline. I'm not really good about that, but we'll see.
Deadline, Schmedline.
I know, right?
Meh.
And then the other thing I'm working on is the sequel to A New Threat.
Okay.
Oh,
And that,
excellent.
That I actually finished in, well, I finished the first draft of that in 2016, 17 as part of NaNoWriMo.
Okay.
But I didn't like it, so I kind of put that on the back burner. It's been percolating for the past couple of years, and I finally have figured out what's wrong with it and how to fix it, so I'm working on that right now.
Oh, good.
Excellent.
And I'm hoping to get that out by the summer, but again, you know how I am with deadlines, so
Mm-hmm.
so that's what I'm working on right now is all of those projects. And I've also got ideas floating around for Eterno Book 3.
Okay.
Awesome.
And several other things, but so that's what I'm working on right now.
Very
Awesome.
cool. And then I hate to like take the stage and say what I'm working on, so I'll let my husband do that. So, Josh, what are you working on?
So, right now we have a anthology with our writers group that is getting edited right now. Aeon or Eon City.
I think it's
depending.
Eon City.
Eon City Burnout.
I like Aeon better, but you know, I'm
There's
not
no
involved
A
in that at all.
it.
So, there is.
But
Oh, okay.
Anyway. So, yeah, Burnout, and it's a really cool anthology that looks at a specific event that happens from multiple points of view.
Mm-hmm.
And so that should be ready to be on Kickstarter, I believe, in the summer, right, Liberty?
I think we're targeting May or June, but I
Yeah.
haven't heard for a fact what we're planning with that right now.
Yeah.
I think it depends on when we get our cover back and when Steve Raza gets the editing done.
Yep.
Well, that sounds fun.
Yeah, so it's a lot of fun. So
Yeah.
imagine my dismay when I've been, working 50, 60 hours a week, and all of a sudden I'm like, they throw this, hey, you need to write a no more than 10,000 word short story for this project by the end of 2024.
And you're like,
And
when?
I'm like,
Yeah.
when did this even get decided? This was like
But
back
you
in
made it through.
I made it through. I actually got done before you did, barely.
Oh, wow.
Which he has a lot more time to write. I just write faster, so.
No. See, I was essentially done like weeks ahead of you even starting. I just had to wait on JJ, who, by the way, JJ will be on here in about 40 minutes. We're having
Which isn't
JJ
going to make
Johnson on.
which isn't going to make any sense to our listeners since this episode will be released after the JJ episode.
Unless you're watching on YouTube
Or Twitch.
or streaming it right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that being said, Liberty and I are also finalizing things and getting cover stuff ready for our shared novel, Wave of Disruption.
I was just going to ask what it's called now.
Yeah, Wave of Disruption. It's gone through a couple of name changes. Aaron got to beta read it.
It's really good.
And that's an alt history focusing on the early 60s and a threat that crops up in, what's the name of that state?
Colorado.
I was going to say it's Colorado, isn't it?
Yes. And for my final trick, I'm working on a solo project called House of Hate. At least that's the working title. About a young noble who finds out that the history that he thought he knew, or the family history that he thought he knew, is not what it actually is.
Dun dun dun!
And he has a gift that he should not have.
Ooh.
So.
Yep. So you've been plugging away on that, sometimes in the evenings when I'm around, sometimes when I'm not around. So.
Yeah. I actually, so minor rant. I actually had this book written, like completed all the way back in 2020, and I wrote a sequel that's just sitting there. But then this book got lost. Like the file disappeared. I've looked through everything. So
Have you
I'm
checked the couch?
actually, yes, actually. I legitimately checked to see if there was a flash drive in the couch. Um, but yeah, I completely lost the story, so I'm working off the few notes that I have. But I'm a better author now, or a better writer now, so hopefully the story will be better for it. So
That's usually the hope. I think if you lose a file or you lose a chapter, even when you're working on a file, you hope that, hey, I'm a little bit better, even if it's just by inches,
yeah,
and it'll be better this time around. So,
hopefully.
yeah.
Um, so Liberty, what do you have in the pipeline?
Um, so I have been working on the
Embroidery.
sequel. Yeah, yeah, I've got a mess here that I've been working on since this is a casual show. If you're on our podcast feed, I just held a very tangled mess of embroidery thread up to the camera. Um, which is, I actually do not do embroidery, but I have it for a reason. Anyway, off topic. So I have been working on the next book in the Darby Shaw Chronicles.
Woohoo!
When I released Escalation, which was the last full book in the series, I had said that Mark and Darby would be back in Separation, which was my title for the next book. And I have, since I wrote the book, and I wrote the Escalation. I released it in 2020. I think I started working on Escalation in like 2017. Um, I had been trying to figure out what the plot was for Separation for the longest time. I knew what the subplot was going to be, just how would the actual plot come together. And I have poked at that, and I've poked at that, and I've poked at that, and for years now. I mean, going on 7 years, and just could not get it to come together. Um, and then obviously COVID happened, and I got divorced and remarried, and all of the stuff that happened in between, moving, whatnot. Um, and finally, it started coming together. So I have been working on that. It is a project that I am working to train myself on doing dictation for, which is very interesting, being that I drive Lyft full time. I'm able to do that in between clients, and I'm getting my setup set up where um, it actually works with, having to have multiple things open on while I'm out in the car, and I have it done where I can do it safely. So that's been a very interesting transition. I'm about 45,000 words into that. For anybody who has read my books, you would know that that is very short right now, and I'm probably coming up on my midpoint right now. So that's what I'm working on right now. I've also got a cozy mystery kind of on the back burner. I'm about 35,000 words into that. That's intended to be a shorter book series, about 6 or 7 books, shorter books, 70 to 80,000 words. I'll get back to that once I get Separation more close, fully completed. Obviously, editing Wave of Destruct. Is it Wave of Destruction? Because I can't even remember anymore.
Disruption.
Disruption. That's right. Wave of Disruption. I've been editing on that. I need to go through and clean that up just a smidge more, and then send it over to our editor. And then I am currently poking at a story idea for an urban fantasy series that I want to write. So I definitely have a lot of balls in my court that I'm juggling. But trying to stay focused on just one main project and one side project right now. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm working on.
Lots of
I don't
stuff.
Yeah, I don't have an ETA on separation right now. Right now, I would probably guess we're looking at late this year or early next year. And I know it's
Hmm.
only February, but just with how things have been going, I would imagine that that's probably reasonable right now. As for Wave
We're
of
going to hold you to
Disrupt,
it now.
I know, right?
Yes.
Uh, as for Wave of Disruption, I think we're targeting um, our pre-launch for the spring,
Yep.
and we'll be doing Kickstarter and then launching.
Look for a new title soon.
Yeah, yeah,
At this rate.
we'll be launching. We don't want to do it at the same time as the anthology, but not too
Yep.
far off of that. So we'll probably launch it a month, maybe 45 days after um, the anthology is kind of what I'm thinking right now. We've got a lot of balls in the air with that to try to get it put together. But I think right now mostly we're waiting on editing and our cover. So
Yep. That's exactly what we're waiting on.
I would imagine, I don't think we'll have it quite ready for the Realm Makers Expo, which we'll be talking about in the upcoming episode with JJ Johnson.
Or if you are listening on the podcast streams, the previous episode.
Yeah. But I think we may have, we may be close to having it ready by then. We'll see. Fingers crossed. So I have no idea. These things take more time a lot of the time than what uh, I'm used to, and I've never done a Kickstarter, so I have no idea what to expect.
It's
Me either.
yeah.
Yeah.
Go
It's
back and
going to
listen to
be
our
an
Kickstarter
exciting.
round panel right now.
Yes.
I do intend to do that, and all of the people that were on that I think are friends of ours, so we can definitely pick their brain a little bit. So um
So,
so one thing I did want to talk about today, and maybe we can revisit it at a later time for a more focused episode, but what is something you feel that you wish you had known before you started publishing, Aaron?
Uh, Lots of things, but they're not organized. So somebody else go first.
Honestly, and I don't want this to be a monologue, obviously, but
Sure.
yeah, honestly, one thing I wish I had understood was um, how I work a little bit better, because I have an idea on how long something is going to take me to do, and in theory, I should be able to get it done in, let's say, a month. But the way that I work, it ends up taking me 3 or 4 months, and it's frustrating. It's not necessarily a lack of ability or speed or anything like that. It's the ability to focus on something for an extended period of time.
yeah.
And I know when we were writing our co-written book together, Josh would deal with this on, hey, Liberty, it's time for you to write the next chapter. What? So he'd have to prod me a little bit. And this was before we wrote part of it before we got married and part of it after we got married. So that was definitely an interesting dynamic.
Yeah.
So that's definitely
Know
something
how
I
that
wish I
goes,
had
yeah.
known.
So, in terms of what do I wish that I had known before I started writing, or, you know, earlier in my writing journey, um, that it's okay to make mistakes. Um, that what every word on the page doesn't have to be perfect. Every sentence doesn't have to be perfect, because there's always editing, there's always character voice, and that sort of thing.
There's always second edition, third, fourth, fifth
Yeah,
edition.
Exactly. So, uh, so yeah, like friend of the show and just friend Tosca Lee says, um, just get the words down.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah. Something I wish I had known that I actually heard about from one of the ally podcasts, Alliance for Independent Author. I can't remember what it completely stands for, but Joanna Penn's been a big part of them. I was listening to them a few weeks ago, and the guy who was co-hosting it said that he has a spreadsheet for all of the changes he has to make for a book, like when it gets published. He has a version number, and um, when he uploads it, he puts in the copyright page what version this book is, so he can make sure that it's the most updated version, and he has the spreadsheet that
oh,
says what he changed, whether it's just a few typos or he made a timeline correction or something like that. And I'm like, that is such a great idea. I wish I had known about that 10 years ago.
I am nowhere near that organized.
no.
But if you think about it, I've had it happen before where I upload an old file and it's like all of a sudden I've got all these old typos that I had thought I'd gotten rid of.
Oh no.
Yeah, so if you have
Yeah.
a version number and you know which one you're supposed to be on, you can just check the spreadsheet. I'm like, that is such an awesome
Oh.
idea.
Basically stole the software change log from the software development idea. Basically.
I think the guy who
I
said
just
it,
put all my old versions in a folder called old underneath the project. So
Yes.
I mean,
don't accidentally upload the wrong version that way. But
yeah, I mean, I do check the date stamps, but sometimes if you accidentally click into one, it might accidentally resave, and then you've all of a sudden got an old version with a new date. So,
that's why you
Yeah,
put
there is
your
that.
draft version on it as part of your file name and then put it in an old folder. And
hmm yeah, I just thought that was a clever idea and one
mhm.
that might actually
That
help
is.
people. So,
Huh.
Aaron, what's something that you wish you had known before you started publishing or even just writing?
I don't know. I've got a bunch of thoughts floating around, and none of them are organized on that. One thing is covers. Just I have an idea in my head that the perfect book has one cover and kind of a master cover, and that cover never changes. But that doesn't really work in real life. You see it even go in your local Barnes and Noble or whatever bookstore, and you'll see a wait. That's not the cover for whatever book.
Yeah.
It's like most of the times the new cover sucks, but maybe that's
hmm
just me. But
Yeah.
that's one of the things I found is like, well, my first book, A New Threat, that was first published through a small independent publisher, and the cover
Mhm.
was okay. It was I
Mhm.
didn't really love it, didn't really hate it either.
Mhm.
But then when I republished it, I had to get another cover for various reasons, and I really like that cover.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then kind of the
I
same
think
thing happened when I published Otherno. Is I published Otherno, I got a cover. I was really happy with the cover, but then I'm looking at it. It's like the cover really says urban fantasy. It's like, well, it's
mm,
not entirely wrong, but what it really is basically a light novel. So I got a
mhm.
new cover
Yeah.
that said that. So well, that's one of my piece of advice is actually put some thought into the cover. And what does it say? Save up and don't just get a cheap temporary cover. Save up, get a nice cover
Mhm.
that
Yeah,
works for your book.
I think on the topic of covers, it can be such a tricky thing. I mean, you and I have both been publishing
Oh yeah.
for a decade or close to it, and I know I had my 10-year anniversary with Emergence last year. Um,
Hmm.
but expectations for covers changes over time too. And that's something you have to be aware of. And
Yeah, the
I've
cozy romance genre right now is into essentially faceless clip art, which I
mhm,
don't like, but that's another
mhm,
Yeah.
rant there. But
right. But I published my first round of my books with one set of covers, which I mostly did myself. I had a little bit of help. My cousin was the cover model for that, and she's a professional model, so she did that, and we were doing silhouettes, which I thought worked very well at the time. 5, 6 years goes by, and it's like the style has changed. And when we were getting our cover designer together for Wave of Disruption, since that is technically a prequel to my series, but significantly in the past, at least 50 to 60 years, um, she wanted to know if we were going to be keeping it in that same vibe. It's technically a different genre, so no.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where I'm probably looking at a redo um of the covers here in another 2 or 3 years because
again,
the style has changed again. Well, there's other reasons for that that I won't get into, but yeah, I may have to for reasons. So, it's just one of those things where you have to be aware of the market and what's changing in it. And if you go significantly off of the going style, you may have to do a redo, which is frustrating
Yeah.
and time consuming and expensive.
I don't disagree.
good
The
advice. But on the other hand, and that's one of the things about being independently published is if you hate the current style, you're not stuck to it either. So
No, you're
True.
definitely not stuck to it. However, if you're significantly off the style of the vast majority of the books, is your book going to sell?
there's that. Yeah.
True.
And it's something you have to be well aware of, and you have to hope that your cover designer is well aware of too.
Yeah. I
So,
uh, I know that there have been several books that I've enjoyed the cover of, and it's like, no, 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 I'm gonna stick with this cover. I don't care if it's, uh, updated for modern audiences or any of that junk. I like this cover. This is my cover.
mhm.
So, um,
Yep.
but that being said,
It's kind of like one of the more modern covers of Ian McCaffrey's Harper Hall series has Wervins on the cover instead of dragons, and I'm like, guys,
Apparently, the designer didn't know the difference between a wyvern and a dragon.
you're the publisher or something. I don't know. Yeah, somebody
Weird.
missed the boat there, though.
Yeah, it sure
yeah.
sounds like it. So, well, this is supposed to be just a short episode. We're at about half an hour right now.
Are
We
any
do
of
have
us
another
capable of shutting up ever?
Yeah, there is that question.
There is that, yeah.
Um, but we do have another podcast coming up in very shortly. If you're on our live stream, if you're not, you're probably wondering what the heck we're even talking about. Um, but because we are recording these out of order a little bit today. Um, but why don't we share where people can go to find out more about our own work?
The
So, Aaron.
internet.
Well, yes, the
Yes,
internet. But what's the website?
AaronDemott.com. That'll be down in the description there eventually too.
Yeah. And then my website is currently down for reasons, but you can find me on Instagram and Substack. Those have been the best places to find me. So if you look for Liberty Spidel Hart, that's Spidel Speidel, and Hart is HARDT. You can find me there.
Um, I'm still in process of getting a website up, but you can find me on Facebook and on X under One Redeemed Heart.
It means Twitter, but they don't call it that anymore.
The numeral 1 in One Redeemed Heart. So
Okay. Well, we have another show lined up for you guys. I can't remember who are we having on the 22nd, Josh?
we are
Definitely a person.
having
Yes, we are having a person.
We should totally have a
yes,
cat on for a show. That'd be fun.
Molly, where are you?
You're staring into the camera. Meow. Oh, really?
Um,
If you follow me on
Lauren
Instagram, you
Brandenburg.
okay. Lauren Brandenburg on the 22nd of February, which for our podcast feed, I think that'll actually be either the 24th of February or the 3rd of March. I'll have to check our
Definitely
publishing
one
schedule.
of those.
Yeah, but we've been trying to publish on Mondays for the podcast itself. So every other Monday is typically my publishing schedule on those. So just keep an eye out for those. Also, send us an email if you like the show. We would love to hear from you. Or check us out on Facebook. I think we're on Twitter, technically, X, whatever it is.
I don't
We
know.
are, and there will be more activity there in
Mhm.
the upcoming weeks.
Mhm.
Um,
And we may start publishing on Substack. We haven't really talked about it, but it is something that is on my radar to do if I can ever get this stupid embroidery thread untangled.
She'll be. That could be a fun gag to keep in the rest of your show. If you work on it constantly in every show. That'd be great.
I'm gonna put it away for the other show so I can stay focused. But this one
Sure,
I thought
sure.
was this is a
Right.
mess. I may have to burn
So,
this.
thank you.
And you
very
can always
much.
find all of us at lasersdragonsandkeyboards.com too. That link will be
Yes.
down there.
Yes.
Yeah.
There is
So
that too.
there will be
So-
all the links.
So thank you very much for tuning in to this very professional publication. Look for future solo shows in the upcoming months. We will try to do one, at least one a quarter. And yeah,
So
see
you guys
you on
have
the
a
other side.
yep. Have a great day, guys.